be a part of it this year. I missed it last year, so definitely happy to be here. I'm Oscar Perry. I work with Jubilee Jobs over at the Baxter Community Center. And I would just say 3 simple things to focus on for this year. First of all, being education, focusing on discipline and order. A lot of times we lack discipline and order in our school systems. And if you put discipline and order in place and it's supported from the top down, the youth will follow. And they definitely need that leadership in place. Innovative programs and community collaborations, getting our students hands-on experiential learning. Our youth are part of a very fast-paced generation that is used to a lot of gadgets, and so sometimes we have to think about educating them in that format, bringing them experiential hands-on learning and opportunities. Support for after-school programs. Many successful industrialized countries go to school from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, and even on the weekend. We say that to our youth, they smack their lips. We need to start thinking about the after-school programs because they provide the opportunity to extend that school day. And preparation for a global economy. We are so impacted by international things, international issues. We need to learn more languages. We need to be better prepared to speak with people who are different from us. We need to be prepared to compete not only with other communities, but we're competing across the globe. And so we need to prepare our youth better to compete, especially with education systems that are putting up a lot more effort sometimes than what we have. Community. We need more collaborative efforts. There are a lot of individuals and organizations throughout the community that are doing a lot of different things. And a lot of times one group is doing one thing and another group is doing the same thing. Or they have something that can enhance a program. So getting the information out there about who's doing what and creating more collaborations and not worrying about the competition, because we know there are so many youth out there that we can all work together to help out. There are so many things happening that we need to bring all our resources together and work together with. Better communication across the board. Cross-generational leadership. Right now, those who are 18 to 44 represent over 40% of this population as of the census of 2000 in Kent County. So that's probably more than that by now, 40%. But is that reflected in the leadership across the board? More cultural competency, learning our history. Our history is not being taught well in the schools. We need to revamp our history. And God bless people like Mr. Elamine out there who is putting that history out there. So we need to have more of that. We need to have diversity on a broader scale. This community has a lot of healing racism, but we need to focus on diversity in all aspects of it and put that out there.
We wanted you to hold with that right there. Hold with that. I think you brought up a very interesting statistic too that we need to piggyback on. And that we're going to bring in the first question. As we've studied, and this is us, the Talented Temple, of course, our community having becoming increasingly concerned about the role of young black professionals in Grand Rapids. We were talking about representation from political meetings like the one that was held at the school board in regards to the MCRI, or just to a regular school board meeting, or even to the New Hope discussion that the commissioners organized in response to the violence. It seems to me like a lot of our young business professionals are absentee. I want to know, in the panel's opinion, young black professionals, ages approximately 25 through 40, how can we get them politically and civically engaged? Are they politically and civically engaged? And if so, how can we get them organized and bring them to the community? Whoever wants to tackle any facet of that question.
I'll jump in there. Thank you very much. And, I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge 2 other people as well who helped to usher me into an opportunity when I first graduated from college. And that was Dean Elias Lumpkins and Mrs. Kroom, Ms. Gertrude Kroom. And I'll just tell you how that happened real quick. And this is how it was engaging. I went to Dean Lumpkins at a basketball game and said, Dean, what do I need to do to teach at the college? Dean Lumpkins says, go put in an application. So it's pretty straightforward. And I had an opportunity. Mrs. Kroom taught me so much as I taught at the community college. I think Mrs. Kroom was the smartest person I've ever met. And again, just to that point, both she and Dean Lumpkins were always open and engaging with me as a young person. And I think we need more of that through the political process, through our social service institutions, through our educational infrastructures, and we do not have enough of that in Grand Rapids. And so what happens is when people put, especially young professionals, young black professionals, we're putting their, in my opinion at least, we're putting their time and their dollar into trying to feed their families,
right,
trying to run businesses, you know, kind of disjointed around the whole political process because there's not mutual respect, there's no mutual engagement.
I see that.
That's my thought.
But let's put this into perspective, and I want somebody else to respond. Like the Michigan Civil Rights Initiative, for example, that doesn't only affect institutions of higher education, which all black professionals clearly, I mean, many of them have benefited from, but it affects the dollars. It's going to affect the diversity within your companies and businesses from downtown to the suburbs. And you know, when you don't see the black professionals coming out and responding to that, it's very concerning. Would anybody like to respond to?
I think that there is a loss of knowledge of how to give back in the young black professional 25 to 40. I think that there is a loss of responsibility with so-called success and so-called accreditation. That I think that there's a loss of responsibility with that. I think that oftentimes we get a degree and we get our $100,000 a year, $50,000 a year. We get the house with the white picket fence, and we become detached from the proletariat as well as the black upper class. And I think that this is incredibly dangerous. I think that there's a complacency with the 25 to 40-year-old demographic, and I think with the problems that John and I actually had finding individuals for this panel and individuals that would actually keep their word is a direct reflection of that. As far as how to engage these individuals, I'm 22 myself and I'm engaged, and I don't plan on stopping. I don't know where the ball was dropped, and I don't feel as though someone should look at me as a younger person and become inspired. I should be looking up to these individuals as a younger person and become inspired. So I don't have the answer, but I know that we definitely need to hold these people accountable.
And we're going to focus on solutions, so we're going to move this question to Mr. Perry in specific, because Mr. Perry has a program that he runs as well, the Weed and Seed program, which we should be supporting, which will be in our official recommendation, and he is one of those Generation Xers, we'll say that, who is engaged. But what do you think it is? Is it like the movie King of New York, you know what I'm saying? People who are getting their money and they're getting fat while everybody else starves. I mean, what is the problem with our people in the middle?
I think that it is a lack of empowerment. It is a lack of feeling like you can get out there and make that difference. I think that when I talk to individuals, if they don't have children in the school district, or if they don't have other children and they don't feel too invested in going out and voting for the school board, or running for the school board, if they're feeling like the leadership, if the baby boomers are already leading, then they just sit back and let them do it, as opposed to prepping themselves to take on the torch. The torch has to be shared now and begin to be passed, because it is that time. We are, I'm going on 35 years old, I fit right into that bracket. I do see the importance of coming out and creating programs and getting involved, and so I feel that empowerment. I've seen it come to play. I've watched youth, I've watched businesses benefit from the things that we have to say. And I don't think that our other brothers and sisters actually get that opportunity too much to see themselves be empowered, so they just stay focused on their own agendas.
Sure. And let's talk about your program a little bit, the program that you run over here at the Community Media Center, in which you are actually facilitating that growth within the community.
Well, that initiative came out of Central City Weed and Seed, and it's a program to prepare youth for a global economy. It's about creating community collaborations. There are several instructors, some who are in here, that come in to teach various hands-on experiential learning opportunities, from finance to history to cultural competency to the media center, who is teaching them. They're creating their own documentary about the experience. The experience is very, very hands-on for the youth that are involved, and it appeals to that generation of youth. And many of us can recognize how to appeal to that generation of youth because we're so close. We are the middle people.
Right.
We're the ones who can understand the gadgets. Although